So I see so many people bitching about how difficult it is to get into property. How do I get the money? How long does it take? Is it get rich quick? And in this video, I'm going to be breaking it all down to really help you understand how difficult it is and how you can accelerate your development within property investment. For those that don't know me, my name is Jamie York. I've been investing in property for the better part of a decade now, but really pushing over the last 6 to 7 years. I've got £1 million, multi-7-figure businesses. And I'm not saying that to impress you, but to impress upon you that you really can make a lot of money with this. So if you're new to the channel and you want to find out more about that, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and do me a little favor, just smash that like button. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm and push this video further. So let's jump in inertia, okay? If you imagine you have this hill, they're sort of going like that, apparently 2 hills, and you've got this rock at the bottom. How hard is it to push that rock? How hard is it to get it in there? You know, you might be able to get some leverage, use some physics to help you along the way. But ultimately, the hardest thing about getting this moving is that initial part. You know, like when you are just pushing a snowball, if you like, it gets harder and harder and bigger it gets. But the point is, it's that initial roll that makes it really hard. And eventually, once you keep pushing to the top, and then it gets easier and easier, and eventually the momentum just builds and builds and builds. That is called inertia. Okay, so inertia at the start of your journey with any investment is so difficult if you ask the average person. It can be, but actually we're going to break down how you can make it easier. So it is hardest at start, okay? And the reason for this is a few different reasons. One, you need the deposit for investing in property, and that's always the most difficult for a lot of people like yourself, is, and it was when I was starting, is, well, where the hell am I going to get a deposit from? Okay, now with buy-to-let properties, you need a 25% deposit. Now, a lot of people get confused about that. Oh, can't I put down 5? Can't I put down 10? No, there are some lenders that will give 80, and there's actually some right now that will do 85%. But if this is your first one, you ain't getting hold of it, okay? Very unlikely. The other thing is, getting your first mortgage is actually quite difficult. And the reason for that is most of the time, not for all of them, by the way, you need to be a homeowner. Do you have to be a homeowner to get a buy-to-let mortgage? No. But if there's 2,000 lenders out there, give or take, you are reduced to about 30 to 40. So expect to pay a little bit extra. It's not massive. It's not like everyone's 3% and now you have to pay 10%. It might be you're more like 4, okay? Which for the first one, you've got that cost to entry. Just suffer it and move on with it, okay? No point sulking about it. But it helps, and most of the time you need a job. Okay, if you're on over 20K, you've got access to a majority of the market. But if you're on 25,000, let's try that again. If you're on 25,000, you've got access to a majority of the market. But if you can tick these boxes, then that's really helpful. So it is a lot harder at the start. The other thing is, well, Jamie, why don't I just get other people's money, right? OPM, other people's money. And that's really great that you can do that. And by the way, a huge part of my portfolio is built off of the backs of other people's finances. They've worked hard for their money, and I help their money work hard for them. Now that's really great when you're at my situation where I've done hundreds of deals now. So I've got that confidence in people. But actually, is it easy to do at the start? No. Okay, and actually the easiest people to go to are the people that we really don't want to. Now I remember at the start, we go to your friends and family, and the idea of going to my family who, you know, don't have finances much anyway, or friends to get money, there's no way I'd do that, because I guess I was scared about failing. There's something about that business and personal mix in them, right? But actually, your best bet with other people's money is to go to people and offer them a lot more. So my tip would be, when people are doing joint ventures, 50-50, that's great for ongoing joint ventures. But a really good tip for using other people's money, instead of doing 50-50, sorry for rubbing that off, instead of doing 50-50, I like for doing 1 for you, 1 for me. So you'll hear me talking about the value first principle quite a lot. And actually, it was Gary Vaynerchuk years ago that said, if I can go into a joint venture partnership, I'm happy taking 49% and giving somebody else 51 because I know what I can do with the 49. And that was a really powerful message that's just stuck with me all this time. But honestly, at the start, everything you know is in theory right now, okay? If you've had training and paid for training on top of this, amazing. If you've got a mentor, that's obviously incredible. It definitely helped with my development. But when you start implementing it, it's now putting your theory into practice. So one for you. So let's say I go to my mum. Let's assume my mum had money to invest in this. Mum, I know this is a big risk, but actually I want to make this as risk-free as possible. So I will do the first one where you get 100% of everything and I'll work my ass off. And if it goes well, then you get me one. Then we get you one, then we get me one. And if we keep on going, let's just do them together. You put in the money, I put in the effort, and we build this up. But this is a really great way to build up that trust, credibility, and reliability so that you can help other people gain the trust in you so they give you their money, okay? But it takes that inertia period at the start, getting it moving forward. And it really comes down to time, which I'll touch on in a moment. So a lot of people, for some reason, come into property thinking this is going to be a get-rich-quick scheme. No, it's really not. Like, think about this for a second. It is a huge asset. It's a physical bricks and mortar property for hundreds of thousands of pounds. It ain't going to Asda to do your weekly shop. Okay, there's nothing quick turnaround about property. If you want quick turnaround stuff, go to stocks. However, there's still risk. It's not get rich quick. There are ways such as deal packaging, trading to make money really quickly in property, but it's not get rich quick. It takes time and dedication, okay? So you need to understand that and understand that in property, there are risks and there are rewards. And you have to understand that this isn't a job. Okay, when you get a job, the downside is you have to follow some instructions. You have to get in at a certain time, leave at a certain time. Sometimes you'll work really hard and your pay doesn't suddenly change and all of that. But it's constant money. You've got security on the most part. I know right now it's a bit difficult, and it's constantly coming in. You have to understand that with property or any investment of its kind, when you're going out there, there is this risk and reward entity that you need to take account of when buying your first property and every one after that. So how hard it is to get into really depends on your property, because the most basic one is your buy-to-let. I don't even know if you can see that on there. Buy-to-let property. Then maybe the next complexity is HMO, house of multiple occupancy. It might be then that you go to some sort of serviced accommodation, much more complex. Maybe you want to do a rent to rent. Maybe you want to do a commercial conversion or a ComCon. Maybe you want to do a land build. All of these build up their complexity. So asking a question like, how hard is it in property? Well, it depends how you're measuring hard, because this requires more money, it requires more risk, and it requires more time. And as you go up this complexity ladder, the money input, the financial input, the risk, and the time that you need to put into it, and the time that you're going to end up getting that money back, all elongates over time. So a buy-to-let, relatively low risk, very easy to analyze, very simple but not easy raising that initial deposit, okay? But you might need 25, 30 grand. HMO, you're going to need more like 50 to 80. Service accommodation completely depends on what you're going to do. Rent to rent, less money, but unless you want it as a job, not worthwhile. Commercial conversions, a lot more effort, but you're going to get huge payoff, same as land builds. Difference is you're going to be waiting 18 months plus to get any money out of that, okay? So it takes time, and the increased complexity and the lack of simplicity comes from jumping to these advanced strategies too early. So my recommendation, if you are at the beginning of your journey, is keep it boring, keep it vanilla with good old buy-to-let property. So I want to give you some really good quick fire tips, okay? Now this will make everything so much more simple. Number one, communication. If you can develop one skill in property or in business, it's your communication skill. So whatever you're doing, whether you're talking to corporates, a bank, investors, vendors, property is kind of irrelevant. Property is just a commodity, okay? But it's people. Property is a people business. Communicate effectively. And linked in with that, number 2, be your word. I talk about integrity a lot, and honestly, we all go through phases, you know, bullshitting and stuff like that, but honestly, the best deals I've ever done is just having full integrity, being my word. I'm fairly well known for just saying it how it is. I'm going to tell you what you need to know rather than what you want to, and what you need to hear rather than you want to hear, okay? Especially when it comes to deals. So being your word and in communication and in integrity is so important, so that if I'm talking to somebody and I'm saying, I'm buying this property, they have full confidence. It's a done deal. Now, obviously, I don't do deals on handshakes. I'm going to get the contract. But if you're dealing with me and I say something's going to happen, it's going to happen. And will I screw up from time to time? Of course I will. I'm human, right? But if you can be your word and be in communication, yes, it's going to be harder to get deals, but estate agents and people you're working with, when they're talking to vendors, and there's somebody that's offered 100 grand and you're at 93 or whatever, but that vendor needs this to go through, you're going to have agents going, look, I've worked with Jamie before. He has never let me down. Yes, it's lower money, but it will happen. If he says it's going to happen by this date, he will make it happen no matter what. That power that you give people through your word is the most powerful thing and simplifies everything. And remember, when you're bullshitting and you're lying, it's so much better to not do it and just be in integrity. You have to remember a lot less. All right. If you're just going around lying and bullshitting with people, trying to make something happen, you have to remember it all, and it just makes life difficult. Okay. So be honest, have integrity, be your word, and be in effective communication with everyone you're working with. 2 more bits I want to cover in this, and number 1 is Warren Buffett, okay? So Warren Buffett, if you don't know him, where have you been, right, over the last, well, forever? He was asked why he's such a successful person. And it was actually Jeff Bezos in an interview with him that said, you know, your fundamentals and your principles sound so simple, so why don't more people do it? And said, well, because most people aren't interested in getting rich slow. Now, if you follow people's journey, and this is like the success curve, everyone's kind of goes like this, and you will see me drawing this, kind of goes like this for years, and it increases, and then it gets to this point where there's just no turning back, and you see it go like that. Everyone's the same. Warren Buffett, here, he's a millionaire. Here, he's worth $1 billion. Okay, I know that's only a small gradual curve. And then suddenly, in the same period, he's worth 10 billion. Then in the same period, he's worth 80 odd billion. Same as Bill Gates. It was something like at 28. Let's change the color on here. Bill Gates, something similar. At 28, he was a millionaire. At like 34, he was a billionaire. At 48, or how old is he now? 50-ish? 120 million. So it just sort of went like that. Now, they're a tech company, that's a tech company, but Warren Buffett's not. He's an investor, right? And it's the same as property. If you look at my journey, it took me, give or take, around, it's not going well, is it? Give or take about 5 years to become a net worth millionaire, okay? Starting from that standstill. So if you go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it did not go, I will draw it. It didn't go like that. That would be cool, pretty predictable, right? No. What happened is, it actually kind of went like this. So started here, went like that. That's my investment lag, so education mentors that I got. Then it kind of went like this. And then in that last year, say this is that million line, it just kind of went like that. So it actually works out as about 70% of my millionaire wealth came in that last year. But I was working just as hard here as I was here. The reason I'm saying this is the biggest factor you've got in your success in any business, but especially property investment, is time. Okay, now I'm a massive hypocrite on this because I want everything now. Okay, like I wish I were 10 years ahead right now. I'd love to be able to see where I am in 10 years. Like I'm so like now, and so impatient. But I use it to the point of driving myself forward, and you should too. So be impatient, but understand that time is your biggest accelerator, your biggest steroid to your development in property and investment. Okay, now time is your best friend, so just understand that no matter what you do, timing the market as best as you can is only going to get you so far. And this is why they say time in the market will always beat timing the market. Time is on your side. So the final point I want to make is, and this is really important, to take education seriously. So the thing that I love about property is the earn and learn potential. Earn and learn. So pretty much everything that you do in education, you go to uni, you get educated for so many years to then go and execute on it, kind of. This is why I'm a big fan of apprentices, and I really like apprenticeship, and I'm really a fan of sandwich years at university because you're implementing learning and earning. So most of the time you have to learn for years, and only then can you drop the L and start earning, right? The great thing about property is you can educate yourself whilst you're doing this, and what I would encourage you to do is never, ever, ever, ever consider yourself a master of your craft. Okay, I've been doing this for a long time now. I would never call myself an expert. I think I know a lot about this. I've been investing for a long time. I'd say I know more than the average person out there, but I am always a student of the craft. And I know it sounds a bit weird, but the more you can consider yourself a student, the more you are constantly going to be developing yourself. Things in investment and property investment, they change all the time. I've never seen movement in a property market that I have in the last 2 years with new regulations, with grants coming out, funding, social housing, the service accommodation emergence. Everything like that comes in. And if I didn't constantly think of myself as a student, I'd be buying, and the amount of investors that I have on my books that have been investing for 30 years and within 6 months of knowing us have accelerated their portfolio to a dramatic degree. People that have learned from us and I've mentored that have been in property for so long, but they're still doing the things that they did 20 years ago, but now they're learning the new ways and it's accelerating a lot more. So always think of yourself as a student, always develop yourself. Invest in mentors, invest in your education, and watch YouTube channels like this. And on that note, I'd be really grateful if you do subscribe to this channel, smash the like button, it helps it get out to more people. But constantly developing yourself as a student will allow yourself to get to that ever coveted master status, but never quite getting there. And that's a mindset situation. Other people will consider you an expert in 5 years, in 10 years, in 5 months. Okay, but constantly having your mind that there's always something to learn from the people around you, constantly develop yourself, and you will develop out a lot quicker at a much more accelerated rate. I hope that's been helpful. As always, I just want to add as much value to you. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. The like helps the algorithm get it out to more people. And of course, I'll see you in the next video.